Salam Sejahtera. This video is presented for the RISM QS Virtual Symposium 2020. We are from the School of Housing, Building and Planning, Universiti, Sains, Malaysia. For your info, the project background is a private development of mixed commercial project which is located at Kuching, Sarawak. The selected procurement method for this project is the traditional procurement method. In this video, the standard operating procedure SOP for main scenario and special scenario will be discussed. The main scenario is about the SOP for preparation of preliminaries, while the special scenario is the SOP for the assessment of loss and expense (LNE) and extension of time (EOT), but according to the PAM 2018 form of building contract. First, let's start from the main scenario, SOP for preparation of preliminaries. The objective of having SOP is to ensure the final preliminaries comply with the project requirement. As we know, SOP is a procedure to specify a set of step-by-step instructions for the preparation of work. Therefore, having a SOP could avoid any items of preliminaries being overlooked. The SOP for preparation of preliminaries, which can be separated into three parts. First part will be the preparation of draft preliminaries. The preparation will start after all the finalized design information and work items of the project have been received by the QS consultant from the design team. The preliminaries are drafted based on the in-house preliminaries, which is a standard format of preliminaries present in the organization. It consists of 10 sections to group the items of preliminaries as shown in the following slide. As you can see, there are numerous items required to include in the draft preliminaries from Section A to Section J. Therefore, instruction for preparation of preliminaries is developed to guide the QS consultant in drafting the preliminaries based on in-house preliminaries. As shown in the table, it stated what information must be included in Section A, such as general description of the works, as the items under Section A are to provide general information of the project. Hence, by referring to the instruction while drafting the preliminaries will ensure all the crucial items and client's requirements are being included in the draft preliminaries. The full document could refer to SOP/02 Prelim in the report. Next, we will proceed to the second part of the SOP. After the drafted preliminaries has been prepared, the QS consultant will cross-check with the in-house checklist for preparation of preliminaries in order to ensure all necessary items has been included, such as if the client requirement are being taken into consideration or any latest update information from the design team or client are being left out. If there are still additional items to be included in the preliminaries, the QS consultant will continue to amend the draft preliminaries as shown in the slide. In contrast, if absent of any additional items, the QS consultant will send the draft preliminaries to the client and design team for further approval. This is part of the in-house checklist for the preparation of preliminaries. The full document could refer to SOP/03 Prelim in the report. Next, we will proceed to the third part, which is the last part. After the draft preliminaries have been submitted to the client and design team, there will be a final checking by them on any additional items to be included. If there are additional items to be included, the QS consultant will hold a discussion with them to further amend and modify the preliminaries until satisfaction as shown in the slide. Diversely, if there aren't any additional items to be included, the draft preliminaries will be approved and proceed as the project preliminaries. Lastly, the preliminaries are deemed as final preliminaries until the selling date of the tender document, as the QS consultant has the obligation to amend the project preliminaries before the selling date if there are any addendums issued by client or design team. And that's all for the explanation of the SOP for preparation of preliminaries.
Next, we will proceed to the special scenario where our project stops unexpectedly due to the implementation of MCO. First, the SOP involved in the assessment of EOT would be discussed. The purpose of preparing this SOP is to ensure that the company is well prepared when the contractor submits the EOT application. This SOP is separated into three different stages, including the initial stage, assessment stage, and the final stage. The initial stage, when MCO is announced by the government, an emergency meeting with the purpose of minimizing the impact of MCO on our project is held between the consultants and the client. Issues about EOT entitlement would also be discussed. After the meeting, we would notify the contractor to comply with all the directives announced by the government and inform him about the submission of the EOT claim. The contractor should comply with clauses stated in PAM 2018 in order to be entitled to claim for EOT. To illustrate, the contractor should submit written notice to the architect, which includes the initial estimate of EOT and relevant particulars within 28 days from the commencement of MCO. When MCO has lifted, the contractor must within 28 days submit the final claim supported with all particulars to the architect. The architect requests contractor to submit further particulars if there is any deficiency. The assessment stage is to assess the claim submitted and determine any EOT entitlement to the contractor after making a few considerations. First, the delay must be a result of any of the relevant events stated in clause 23.8. To highlight, MCO is definitely included in the relevant events and the contractor would be entitled to apply for EOT. There are three possible avenues where the contractor can claim for EOT due to MCO, where the sub-clauses are stated clearly in the chart. Besides, the architect would also examine whether the contractor has used his best endeavor to minimize the delay. The architect should decide on the entitlement of EOT within 6 weeks, starting from the day of receiving sufficient particulars from the contractor. During the final stage, the architect would issue a certificate of EOT to the contractor before or after the completion date if the contractor is entitled to claim for EOT and the works were delayed beyond the completion date. On the contrary, the architect would issue a written notice of rejection to the contractor if he is not entitled to claim for EOT. The contractor would not be entitled to claim for EOT if he does not comply with any step of the SOP above.
Next, we will proceed to the SOP involved for the assessment of loss and expense. This SOP aims to advise the client on the steps involved and to allow the client to prepare well ahead of the contractor during these uncertain times. There are three stages in the SOP of loss and expense, which are the initial, assessment, and final stage. All these three stages will be explained in detail as follows. First of all, the initial stage is mainly discussed on the remedial action taken by the consultant team and the client to tackle with the urgent situation. A very first step that the consultant team executes after the implementation of MCO is called for emergency meeting with the client. This meeting will emphasize any specific claims criteria and procedure. After the flow of SOP have been set up, then the consultant will inform all the contractors involved in the project for the submission of L&E claims via official email. After the contractors have submitted their claims, the consultant QS shall verify the receipt date of LE claims from the contractor. If the claim is received within 28 days from the date of notice issued to the contractor, then the claim shall be proceed to the assessment stage. If it is not, then the contractor is waived his right for the LE claims. Next, we will proceed to the assessment stage. After the contractor submits his claim, the QS will assess whether the claim is an expense recoverable elsewhere under the contract as stated under clause 24.1. If the claim is not recoverable, then the assessment will proceed to the next step, which is the assessment of claim in accordance with the relevant clauses below, which are clause 24.3D, E, and F. The contractor is only allowed to claim under clause 24.3D provided that the architect issues an instruction for work suspension. However, with the specific measures stated in the COVID-19 bills passed by the Parliament of Malaysia, the contractor is not entitled to claim for L&E under clause 24.3E and F. Furthermore, we shall also refer to the letter of awards to verify whether it has stated that the contractor should comply with the authority's regulation at his own cost. After that, the QS will start to assess the L&E claims particulars submitted by the contractor and request further information if necessary. Now we move on to the final stage. According to clause 24.4, the consultant QS will start to assess the amount of L&E claims when all documents are successfully verified. Based on the assessment, the consultant QS will prepare evaluation reports and recommendations to the architect. Then the architect will review all these documents and decide on the final claimable amount. Then the QS will issue the written notice of entitlement to the eligible contractor on the final claimable amount. In contrast, the QS will issue the written notice of rejection to the contractor who are not eligible for the L&E claims. Next, if the payment is made before the closing of final account, the QS will revise the contract sum, while if the payment is made after the final account is closed, then the QS have to revise the final account accordingly. That's all from us. Thank you.